Now we are moving on to the next part of our program, is Sunday Feast lecture. Today we are very fortunate to have association with His Grace Ananda Chaitanya Prabhu. His Grace Ananda Chaitanya Prabhu is a brahmachari disciple of His Holiness Shivaram Swami from London. He lived for 10 years in Bhaktivedanta Manor, UK, and then moved to ISKCON, Hungary 8 years ago. He has been involved in various services over this period, including book distribution leader, ashrama leader, university preaching, temple management, congregational education. Around 10 years ago, he began editing the books of his Guru Maharaja, Srila Sivaram Swami, and more recently, he took up the responsibility to distribute them as well. With that, we will welcome Prabhu by loudly chanting one time Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Over to you, Prabhu.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashoda Nandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashoda Nandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Shri Shri Radha Madhav ki, Shri Shri Rashram Sundar ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, Nittai Gautama Om Jnana-timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langaite Grim Yat Kripa Tamaham Bande Shri Gurundinataranam Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here today, back in Austin. I spoke yesterday, of course, some of you were here, some of you weren't. So I don't want to repeat myself too much, but we were here 11 weeks ago in Austin. This is where we began our journey. And we've done an 11,000-mile road trip around the Midwest, Canada, and eastern parts, all the way up the East Coast of America. We've had an amazing time meeting many wonderful devotees and many temples, communities, Sangha programs, houses, and it's been a real adventure. But we're back here in Austin. I didn't promise anyone that we'd be back apart from Satyasara Prabhu for Austin, because we had such a wonderful time here. It was a wonderful beginning, and we were really touched by the warmth and the love of the devotees here, and that's why we return. So we ride on Friday. We leave tomorrow morning. We go on to Houston. That's where we flew in, and we're coming to the very end. America's there's a lot happening in America. There's a lot of activity, a lot of devotees, a lot of expansion. I was here 10 years ago, traveling around. I've been a number of times, but I traveled to many places 10 years ago, and I saw that things were a little flat. There wasn't as much activity, but now there's a real increase. So it's really inspiring and wonderful to see, and very inspiring to be with you all today. So, as Prabhu mentioned, my name's Ananda Chaitanya Das. I'm from London. I grew up in a Krishna conscious family. We weren't necessarily following ISKCON. My mother was reading the Bhagavad Gita daily. She had the Gorakhpur Press Bhagavad Gita read in Hindi. She would read in the morning, and in the evening, she would recite whatever she read to myself and my brother as a way of practicing what she remembers, and also as a way of injecting some Gita Gyan, some knowledge from the Gita into our hearts also. At a certain point, we received Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita in our home. There were book distributors around in London. We would meet them regularly, and whenever we would see one, my mother would go over, give a donation, and get a book. So we received a collection of books over the years, Prabhupada's books. And I began to read a little bit. I chanted a little bit. We visited the temples. We have two main temples in London. One is in central London, Radha Londonishwara. They were installed in 1969. They were the first Radha Krishna deities in the West. And then also Bhaktivedanta Manor, which I'm sure you've all heard of. It was donated by George Harrison of the Beatles in 1973 to the Krishna consciousness movement, Srila Prabhupada. And it's a wonderful place, historic place. And so I would visit the temple on occasion, but I was at university. And also when I was young, we watched the Mahabharata. That was also quite a seminal time, I feel. Who's seen the Chopra Mahabharata, B.R. Chopra Mahabharata? Okay, quite a few of you. There's been various Mahabharatas. So it was a Mahabharata in serials, 92 episodes, I think, if I remember correctly. And it was amazing, very powerful. There's been various Mahabharatas since then, but that Mahabharata was the best. Yeah, it was amazing, very, very powerful. And so then I used to pray to Krishna every morning. So whenever I used to imagine Krishna in my mind's eye, I used to think of Nitesh Bharadwaj, because he was the actor who was playing Krishna. So in my mind, Krishna and Nitesh Bharadwaj were one. And I used to pray to him, pray to Krishna, but he was the image that I had in my mind. Until some years later, I had a shock. We were watching a Bollywood movie. I watched a handful of movies in my life, Bollywood. And in one of them, there was Nitesh Bharadwaj, Krishna. But he was playing the role of a villain. Oh my God. He was a woman hunter, alcohol, drugs, so many terrible things, committing crimes. And I thought, my God, what's my Krishna doing? And then at that point, I separated Krishna and Nitesh Bharadwaj. Yeah, and but we were worshipping Krishna. In my first year at university, I met the devotees at university, and then I was free. I was studying at Cambridge in the UK. I was away from London, away from home, and I could kind of do whatever I like. So I thought I'd exercise that free will, that freedom, by going to the Krishna Consciousness Society. And when I sat there, I saw there was a black body devotee to give the talks. And my first reaction internally was, what is he going to tell me about my book? I grew up with the Bhagavad Gita. I've got multiple copies of the Gita in my home. What is he going to tell me? So this was I'm not proud of it, but this was my internal reaction. And then he started to speak. And he spoke with such faith, with such clarity. He knew, Srila Prabhupada said that we need to know Prabhupada's books like a lawyer knows his law books. Yeah, in English, we used to say like the back of his hand. So he knew the Gita inside out, and he spoke about it with such clarity, faith, and conviction. I thought, whoa, this is powerful. And he was answering without me asking questions. He was answering age-old questions that I had as I was growing up, which my parents couldn't necessarily answer, because the way Prabhupada presents, if we take some time to study what Prabhupada is presenting, he presents Krishna consciousness, Sanatana Dharma, which is the eternal religion. He presents it with with a lot of philosophical underpinning. And that's what youth are looking for these days. So I found a lot of clarity. So then I'd go into every talk. He said something which really caught my imagination. He said, there is no question that the Vedic literatures cannot answer. They answer everything. There is an answer. There is no question possible that cannot be answered. He said, if I don't know, then I'll come back next week with an answer after having consulted with those who are more knowledgeable. So I took that as a challenge. So every week at the end of the talk, when it was question time, then I'd put my hand up and I'd have a question or two or three. And every time he'd answer that question with aplomb, with great clarity and faith. And I was impressed. So I gained faith in him, and he said, chant. If you want to be happy, if you want to be Krishna conscious, if you want to advance and experience something higher, then chant Hare Krishna. And then I started to do it, sometimes. And then he said, chant every day. I said, hey, I'm busy. I'm at university. I'm studying. I've got so many exams and so many assignments to do. Life's tough. And he said, just do 1 round a day. So I started to do 1 round a day, and then 2 and 6 and 10. And then eventually I got to 16. It was hard managing it with studies, but the more committed I became, the more it was natural. Anyway, so then I finished my studies. I worked in banking for 1.5 years as a trader. And then I decided that I really wanted to join the temple, become a monk, a brahmachari, and try and give my life to Krishna. Srila Prabhupada would say, just give this one life to Krishna. So many lives we've given to Maya in so many ways, shapes and forms, in so many bodies. Just give this one life to Krishna. So I was inspired by that. And of course, there's many ways you're all giving your lives to Krishna also. But my calling was to become a monk. And I'm so glad that I made that decision, that I gave myself the opportunity to do this. There's nothing like sharing, trying to cultivate Krishna consciousness and sharing Krishna consciousness with the world. But I was just reflecting that hearing about Krishna was a very fundamental part of the development of Krishna consciousness. Prabhupada came to the West in 1965. It was tough, a lot of austerity. He was so comfortable in Vrindavan. He was a sadhu. In Vrindavan, especially 60 years ago, everyone respected sadhus. He ate very simply. He was doing his bhajan. He was chanting the holy names. He was reading about Krishna. He was associating with other great souls. Everything was wonderful. But he had this burning desire in his heart. What was that desire? It was a desire to fulfill the order of his spiritual master. And for a sincere disciple, that is his life and soul. In 1922, Srila Prabhupada had received this order that you're a young man, you're English speaking, go to the West and share this message of Krishna consciousness with the Western world. Whole world these days is speaking English. So in 1922, Srila Prabhupada received this order. In 1933, he took initiation from Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. In 1944, so you see where I'm going, 22, 33. In 1944, he started the Back to Godhead magazine. In 1955, so every 11 years, there was a very seminal moment in Srila Prabhupada's life. 1955, he took Vanaprastha, meaning he stepped away from family life. He gradually relinquished his responsibilities towards his family. 1966, so 65, Prabhupada went to the West. 66, Prabhupada officially incorporated ISKCON in New York. And he incorporated it as the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. He had a small storefront and a few followers, and he named it the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. He was brave. He could envision that something's going to happen. He was sent by Krishna. So that was 66, 77, Prabhupada left the world. So every 11 years, 22, 33, 44, 55, 66, 77, there was something very special. But Prabhupada came, and it was tough at the beginning. You know, the first visit to the grocery store, Srila Prabhupada went to, and it was a unique experience. In India, there's no grocery stores. There's a grocery stall, a little plank of wood with some wheels. And the guy's going down the road saying, sabzi, sabzi, whatever, And he went into the store and he had a basket and collected whatever he needed. It was all a very unique, novel experience. And then he came to the cashier and she added everything up. And she said, $4.50, sir. And then Prabhupada said, how about $3? Because in India, you don't go anywhere without bargaining. Yeah. How about $3? And then the lady said, $4.50, sir. And then Prabhupada said, okay, $3.50. And then the lady explained, there's no bargaining here, sir. I'm sorry. Fixed price. Yeah, that's what sometimes in shops in India, they say this more and more also. No bargaining, fixed price. And then they bargain. But anyway, so it was such a different experience. Prabhupada had never been to the West. It was so unique. So many oddities from Prabhupada's perspective. He had never left India. On another time, Mukunda Maharaj tells a story that once he was in a car with Prabhupada together. And Srila Prabhupada had an apple. You know this one? Anyone heard this story? Prabhupada had an apple. And he took a couple of bites from the apple. And then he looked at his disciple. And he thought, let me give him my Mahaprasad, And we all know that Mahaprasad is such a wonderful thing. It's so potent. Chaitanya Charitamrita says, Bhakta pade doli ar bhakta pade jal, bhakta bhungt avashesha dina mahabal. There's three things which are very potent, very, very powerful. Number one, the water which has washed the lotus feet of a devotee, a great devotee. Number two, the dust from the lotus feet of a great devotee. And number three, the remnants, the food remnants of a great devotee. These three things, Tina Mahabal, they're very, very powerful in injecting Krishna consciousness into the heart of the recipient. So Prabhupada thought, okay, let me give him my Mahaprasad. So he gave him the apple. But this was the first time Mukunda Maharaj had experienced anything like this. And he thought, what is this? He's given me a half-bitten apple. What do I do with this? And he's a little confused for a moment. So then he took the apple, he took a couple of bites, and then he gave it back to Prabhupada. Oh, Prabhupada thought, what do I do with these people? He had to train them from the very beginning. There was one young lady, she was 17 years old. She was besotted by Prabhupada, besotted like she loved Prabhupada. Maybe a little too much. So Prabhupada was, 70-something years old. She was 17 years old. And she went to Prabhupada and she said to Prabhupada, Prabhupada, can anyone guess what she said? Can I marry you? Prabhupada's a sannyasi. He's a guru. He's a Paramahamsa Vaishnava. He's 75 years old. And he says, can I marry you? Crazy. So anyway, I mean, it's Prabhupada had to endure so many things in order to share Krishna consciousness with the world. But he came with a key weapon. There's a verse 124 from the Srimad Bhagavatam. Anyone know the verse? 124. You have to move on to Bhagavatam verses. Narayanam namaskritya naram che. Perfect. Very good. Okay, so you do know it, just not the verse number. That's okay. So this verse, Prabhupada says, or Prabhupada's translation, he says, before approaching the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest. Okay, if you know the translation of the verse, he says it's the very means of conquest. Because what does conquest mean? Prabhupada wanted to conquer the Western world. What does it mean to conquer? For Prabhupada, what does it mean to conquer the Western world? For him, it doesn't mean taking all the riches, all the gold, ruby, emerald. I'm going to tell this story as well, actually, it comes to mind. Anyway, for Prabhupada, conquer means to give them Krishna consciousness, to conquer the materialism, the atheism and voidism in the hearts of the devotees. Nirvishesha shunyavadi paschatya desha tarine, to free the Western world, paschatya desh, from nirvishesha shunyavadi, impersonalism and voidism, to free the world. This was Prabhupada's conquering. So Prabhupada had this very clear understanding that the Srimad Bhagavatam was the very means of conquest. So Prabhupada came with very little in terms of belongings. You know, if we're going to move country, then, you know, imagine if you're going to move country, you have a lot of stuff to take with you. You know, even me, I'm a brahmachari, but my bookshelf, my book collection is huge and increasing. Every time I go to Vrindavan, I go to Loy Bazaar, Ras Bihari Lal and Sons, and I get a huge, my baggage coming home is always overweight because I have books. I love books. I love to read books and distribute books. Anyway, so but Prabhupada brought with him very few items, but particularly he had in the stow, in the carriage, in the cargo. The Jaladuta was a cargo ship. It wasn't a passenger ship. And in there he had Srimad Bhagavatam. Up until that time, 1965, Srila Prabhupada had translated the first canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam in 3 volumes. Yeah, part 1, part 2, part 3. And he had printed 200 sets of this first canto, and he had put it in the cargo of the ship. And his purpose, his goal, was to take this Bhagavatam and to give it to the people. And by reading, they would get a real insight into Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Because this is really the purpose of the Srimad Bhagavatam. So Bhagavatam is the very means of conquest. And the essence of the Bhagavatam is 10th canto, Krishna's Pastimes in Vrindavan. Once Lord Shiva was talking to Parvati. And they were talking, they were discussing, and someone asked Lord Shiva, why do you have this? Or Parvati asked Lord Shiva, you have this garland. Lord Shiva wears a garland, correct? You've seen his garland? What is Lord Shiva's garland of? Skulls. Skulls. Yeah, not flowers. Flowers are nice. Lord Shiva has a garland of skulls. So she said, whose skulls are these? And why do you carry them around your neck? Lord Shiva said, oh, you don't know. This garland is a garland of skulls, and these skulls, Sati, are yours. She said, what do you mean? Mine? My skulls? So then he explained that every time you leave your body, I'm so attached to you, I love you so much. I take your skull and I thread it around my garland. And you've died many times. So she said, hey, hold on. How come I die and you don't? That doesn't sound fair. So then Lord Shiva explained, yes, that when you die, then I take your skull and it's my way of remembering you. And we hear different names, Parvati, Sati, Gauri. These are all the same personality, just different names when she comes. And she always marries Lord Shiva. Like they say, Sat Janam, 7 lives, together for 7 lives. So she was trying to understand. So Lord Shiva explained, okay, I'm going to reveal something to you. I stay alive because I've heard Amar Katha. Amar Katha. What's Amar? I can't. Immortality. Yes, correct. Mar means to die. Amar means that person who doesn't die. That person who is immortal. He said, I've heard the Amar Katha, means the Katha, the topics, the talks. If you hear these talks, then you will not die. Sounds good, right? Would you all like to hear the Amar Katha? So Lord Shiva said, I've heard the Amar Katha, and therefore I don't die, but you die. You haven't heard the Amar Katha. So then Parvati said, I also want to hear the Amar Katha. Right, naturally. She also wants to hear. So then Lord Shiva said, okay, but we have to go to a faraway place, which is very peaceful, and there's no disturbances, and only you will hear the Amar Katha. No one else. So where did they go? They go to Kailash, far, far away in the mountains. And Lord Shiva, he scares away all the animals. Get out of here, go. Everyone go. No one else can be here. It's just Shiva and Parvati. And little egg, unhatched egg. And Lord Shiva didn't think anything of it. So Lord Shiva sits down, Parvati sitting, she's very attentive. She wants to listen, she wants to be immortal. So Lord Shiva said, okay, I'm going to go into trance. I'll be absorbed. And I will recite this Amar Katha, and you have to listen very, very attentively. And as you listen, I just need one thing from you. From time to time, you just have to go, just so that I know, because my eyes will be closed, but I have to know that you're listening. Yeah? Reasonable. Yeah? So Lord Shiva goes into trance. Parvati, of course, agrees. So he starts reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam. He's reciting the Bhagavatam. This is the Amar Katha. He's reciting and reciting and reciting. As he's reciting, guess what? The egg hatches. And there is a parrot. There's a parrot. So the parrot starts to hear Parvati. And so the parrot, when Parvati is going, the parrot also goes, That's what parrots do. They repeat, right? So like that, Lord Shiva starts describing. And Canto 1 is very nice. It's like a rendition of the Mahabharata. Then Canto 2, creation. Canto 3, creation again. Cantos 2 and 3 describe creation from 5 different perspectives. It can be intense. I know many devotees who pass through Canto 1, maybe even pass through Canto 2, but then Canto 3 they give up. Because it's too much. I always encourage devotees, just carry on, don't stop. Just keep going, keep going. And then comes Canto 5, cosmology. And that's that really sends you on a bend. It's difficult. So like that, as Parvati was hearing, she began to feel a little sleepy. She starts to fall asleep. And Lord Shiva keeps reciting. Eventually, Parvati's gone. She's asleep. But the parrot is still going, And Lord Shiva keeps reciting, assuming that this is Parvati. So then at the end, when Lord Shiva finishes his Amar Katha, then he comes out of his trance and Parvati suddenly awakes. And then Lord Shiva says, did you like the Amar Katha? Did you like this recital of the Srimad Bhagavatam? And Parvati says, yes, yes, yes. It was wonderful. It was wonderful. It was amazing. Thank you so much. So does that mean I'm Amar now? Lord Shiva says, which was your favorite part? And then she says, Lord Shiva starts talking about Canto 10. It's the essence of the Bhagavatam. Sumam Bunam, the essence of the essence. The Bhagavatam is the essence of all Vedic literatures. It's the mature fruit of the desire tree of Vedic literatures. Nigamakalpa taror galitam phalam shukha mukhad amrita dravya samyutam. You know this one? Who else knows it? Say. Shukha mukhad amrita dravya samyutam. Malayam. Rasika. Movie? Bhavukaha. So this is the third verse of the Bhagavatam. It describes that the Bhagavatam is a mature fruit of the desire tree Vedic literatures. And the essence of that Bhagavatam is the 10th canto. Describes Krishna's pastimes in Vrindavan, Krishna's pastimes in Mathura, and Krishna's pastimes in Dwarka. So it's wonderful. It's amazing. So how did you like Canto 10? And then Parvati head down. I'm sorry, Swami. I fell asleep. She's very ashamed. So then Lord Shiva says, but then who was saying, Who was going, So then he looks around and he sees the parrot. And what does Lord Shiva do? Parrot! You're not allowed to hear. This was only for Parvati. So he gets his Trishul trident, and he starts running after the parrot. Parrot's flying. Lord Shiva's running after the parrot. And the parrot sees the wife of Vyasadeva. Vyasadev's wife, does anyone know what she's called? Tough one. Vatika. Vatika is her name. He sees Vatika and she's yawning. So she's yawning, and so Shukha, the parrot, goes into the mouth of Vatika, Vyasadev's wife. And he remains there. And then Lord Shiva is saying, that parrot, I want to kill that parrot. That parrot heard the Amar Katha, wasn't allowed to. This was forbidden. It disobeyed my order. I want to kill that parrot. But then Vyasadeva said, hold on. If the parrot has heard the Amar Katha, then he's Amar. He's immortal. So you can't kill him. And then Lord Shiva said, oh yeah. That makes sense. So then he left. He left him alone. But this is the power of hearing the Bhagavatam. Of course, we don't necessarily do it with that. We don't do it with that motivation. But this is understanding the power of hearing the Srimad Bhagavatam. Every syllable of these scriptures is amazing, is powerful, is very, very potent. And we have to access that potency. We have to take the time in our lives to hear about Krishna. One more story, and then we'll have questions. Lord Shiva, he goes to Brahmaloka. And in Brahmaloka, they have the same scriptures, but they're bigger, more vast. So Lord Shiva was looking for Ramayana. And he found the Ramayana in Brahmaloka. How many verses is our Ramayana? Anyone? Close? Close? Anyone else? 24,000. Our Ramayana is 24,000 verses. In Brahmaloka, the Ramayana is 1 billion. 1 billion verses, correct? 1 billion. Thank you. 1 billion verses. It's a lot of verses. So Lord Brahma gifted Lord Shiva this Ramayana, 1 billion verses. So then Lord Shiva was very happy. He thought he could absorb himself in the wonderful nectarian pastimes of Lord Ram. So then he's there and he goes back and Parvati's there. So she says, what do you have? He says, I have the Ramayana. She said, that looks like a big Ramayana. And he said, yes, it's all 1 billion verses. I can't wait. But Parvati starts to worry because what will happen? Lord Shiva will go into trance. He will start reading the Ramayana and she'll be neglected for who knows how long. So then she says, don't you think that you're being a bit greedy? There's so many verses. Why don't you distribute them? Distribute these verses. There's so many other personalities who could benefit from also reading the verses or some of the verses of this Ramayana. So then Lord Shiva, he's very magnanimous. It's described 8:7:44. Tapyante lokatapena sadhavo prayasho jana paramaradhanam tadhi purushushya kilatmanaha. It describes Lord Shiva when there's a churning of the milk ocean. 8th canto, Sagar Manthan. There's a churning of the milk ocean. Many wonderful things come from this churning, but towards the end, there is a poison. It is called a halahal poison. And Lord Shiva takes this and drinks the poison. He takes on this austerity. And so there's a verse which describes that this is the nature of great personalities. They want to serve everyone else. So Lord Shiva takes on this great austerity for the benefit of others. So then he thinks, okay, let me distribute this wonderful wealth. So then he gives 333 million verses to the upper planetary systems. He gives 333 million verses to the middle planetary systems and 333 million verses to the lower planetary systems. How many verses left from 1 billion? 1 million, good. 1 million verses left. But then Parvati said, also, this is very long. 1 million verses. How long will it take? So then Lord Shiva says, you're right. Okay. So then he gives 333,000 verses to the upper planetary systems, 333,000 verses to the middle planetary systems, and 333,000 verses to the lower planetary systems. How many verses left? 1,000. Very good. But then he says, also so long, 1,000 verses. So he says, okay. He gives 333 verses to the upper planetary systems, 333 verses to the middle planetary systems, and 333 verses to the lower planetary systems. How many verses left? 1 verse, just 1 verse. But then still she says, so long, 1 verse. So she starts counting the syllables. How many syllables? 32 syllables. So Lord Shiva gives 10 syllables to the upper planetary systems, 10 syllables to the middle planetary systems, and 10 syllables to the lower planetary systems. How many syllables left? 2 syllables from the Ramayana. What are these 2 syllables? Rama. Rama. Lord Shiva reads this. That wasn't too long. Yeah. Parvati allows him these 2 syllables. He keeps these, he keeps them and places them in his heart, and he starts meditating on Rama, Rama, Rama. And then as he's meditating, we were saying today, we had a little japa session. We're staying with Abhishek Prabhu and Shilpi Mataji. They're very kindly hosting us very wonderfully. And we had a little japa session this morning, and we were saying how the holy name is non-different to Krishna. And therefore it's non-different to Krishna's form, qualities, abode, associates, pastimes. So as Lord Shiva was meditating on Rama, the whole 1 billion verses of the Ramayana began to be revealed to him in his heart. Because everything is contained within the name. This is how potent, how beautiful, how wonderful the name is. So alongside Krishna's pastimes, we have to really absorb ourselves in Krishna's name. And therefore we have this mantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. This is our chance to absorb. Every morning we should make some time, some quality time where there's no distractions, nothing else going on, where we can just hear about Krishna, hear Krishna's holy name. And as you do this day in, day out, daily, and it becomes a part of your life, and then you don't know life without it. But it's so wonderful to just be with Krishna. And then you realize more and more, Shastra says, Abhinatvam nama namino, Krishna and his name are non-different. This becomes more and more of a reality, of a realization in one's heart. When I first heard that statement, it sounded, what does that mean? How does one compute that statement? How do you comprehend it? Ultimately, one has to realize it. One has to chant. No phones, no people, unless they're also chanting. And real focus, quality time with Krishna. We all deserve that. We all deserve to give ourselves that kind of quality time, working so hard in the world, doing so many things, busy lives. You're living in Austin, the capital of Texas. So many pressures. We all deserve a bit of quality time to really nourish the soul. Otherwise, it's like a bird in a cage. We're doing so much for the cage, polishing, shining, cleaning, so many things for the cage, but the bird inside is starving. We have to feed the soul, seriously feed the soul. And if we do that, then we find that there's a great amount of bliss within this. I could say more, but I'm imagining, at least so far, I've done 2 sessions here in Austin, and there's always been many questions. So I'm assuming that you have some questions, comments, complaints, criticisms. Yes.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you for the lecture. I have a question about when you talked about the saying that this Srimad Bhagavatam would be an Amar Katha, and Lord Shiva couldn't kill the parrot. What does Amar actually mean here? Does it mean like the parrot would stay in its material body? The other follow-up question is Parikshit Maharaj only had like 7 days to stay. So he also heard it. So what was the Amarness in this?
So yes, Parikshit Maharaj, he heard it, but then he still died. So then what is the Amar? Well, how are we labeling the Bhagavatam Amar Katha? Actually, what Amar means is that one truly becomes eternal. Meaning one understands, one realizes one's spiritual identity. And one returns to that place where once you go, you never return. You never have to come back. You never have to take birth again. You become freed from this constant cycle of birth and death. You're free and you're allowed to return to that place where you actually belong, where you came from, where you can serve to your heart's content without this constant cycle. So this is the actual meaning of Amar, real life. We think we're living life. We think we're living our lives. We think that this environment, this atmosphere is our life. We think that this is the reality. Mainly because we can see it. They say, I believe what I can see. We can smell it, we can feel it, we can hear it, we can touch it. These things, because it's within our sensual perception, we think that this is the reality. But actually, this place is not the reality. This place is an illusion. Once there was a man and he asked Srila Prabhupada, so you're a guru, right? And Prabhupada said, yes. And he said, so is it true that gurus know everything? Prabhupada said, yes. So then the man asked, okay, so how many windows in that skyscraper building? Prabhupada straight away, he said, How many drops of water in a mirage? It's a deep answer. When I first heard it, I didn't quite catch it. You have to reflect on it. How many drops of water in a mirage? Because this world is an illusion. A mirage is an illusion. So who cares how many drops of water there are if it's just a mirage anyway? It doesn't do anything for you. If you're in a desert and you see a mirage, there's no water there. It won't do anything for you. In the same way, how many windows in the skyscraper? It's an illusion anyway. Why is it an illusion? Because it comes and then it goes. It's temporary. It's not permanent. So Prabhupada said, well, a guru knows everything that is useful to be known. That is the definition of a guru. So we shut up. Once Prabhupada arrived in London. Sorry, I'm going off track a little bit, but I just remembered a story that I planned to tell earlier. Prabhupada arrived in London, and this was after Krishna consciousness had become quite big. You know, the devotees had met with the Beatles. They had this #1 hit single, the Radha Krishna album, etc., etc. So we were quite famous in London. So when Prabhupada landed, there were many reporters waiting there at the airport. And one reporter, English, typical British English reporter, a little pompous, a little proud, he asked, so Swamiji, everyone called Prabhupada Swamiji at that time. So Swamiji, what brings you to British shores? Why have you come here? Prabhupada said, you Britishers, you came to India and you looted. You looted gold, emerald, diamonds, rubies, sapphires. You took the Kohinoor. But you forgot one thing, the most valuable diamond, the most valuable jewel of them all. That is the Bhagavatam, the Vedic literatures, and I've come here to bring it for you. Srila Prabhupada ki. And so this was Prabhupada's answer. He was so powerful, so witty. He knew what to say in any and every situation. And it was a slap in the face. There was another time there was a lady reporter, and she said, so Swamiji, why do you guys shave your heads? And she was critical, you know, that was her mood. Why do you guys shave your head? Prabhupada said, why do you shave your legs? Better to have a cool head and warm legs. So she was shut up. She didn't know what else to say. So many times Prabhupada was so intelligent. He knew what to say. And going back to your question, have I answered your question? Sorry? Overall, I think we've answered it. And then I went off on a little tangent. So yeah, the point is that this katha helps one to understand one's eternal identity, distinguish matter from illusion. This is what the first verse of the Bhagavatam says, that the Bhagavatam helps one to distinguish matter from illusion for the benefit of all. One actually understands what this material world is, what it's not, and where to actually go. And that makes one ultimately eternal.
He could have actually let the parrot free, right? I mean, from its
Sure,
material.
it's a pastime. It's a pastime. Lord Shiva is playing a role here. And, you know, it's all actually part of the story which describes, or one story which describes how Shukadev Goswami comes about. So there's a few stories. This is one of them. Shukadev Goswami then stays in the womb of Vartika for 16 years. And then eventually he comes out as Shukadev. So this is a parrot called Shuka. And he comes as Shukadev Goswami in order to deliver that Bhagavatam to Parikshit Maharaj, but more so to the world. Yeah. So many things we see in Shastra, it's a leela, it's a pastime, like Jay and Vijay in the third canto. They stop the Kumaras from coming in. They offend the Kumaras. They're pure devotees. How can they do that? Actually, Prabhupada says in various places, it's a pastime in order to precipitate Hiranyakashipu, Hiranyaksha, Shishupal, Dantavakra, and Ravan, Kumkar, and then Jagai Madai. Bonus. Anyone else? Yes, please. Mike.
I wanted to ask, like, what is the difference between reading and practice? Like, is there a difference between reading the Srimad Bhagavatam and actually practicing it, or like for other holy books too?
Yes, thank you. Nice. So yes, we have to read. We have to read scripture. It's invaluable. It reconstitutes, recalibrates our consciousness. It speaks to you on various different levels according to where you're at. I read the Bhagavatam. I remember when I read it 20 years ago, I was getting certain realization. 5 years later, different. 5 years later, different. And now, different. Because scripture is not just like a textbook. It is not just information. Scripture speaks to us according to our consciousness. It is multi-layered. Because scripture is also Krishna. Krishna says, Ye tamam prapadante tam satai bhajamiyaham. Yeah? It's reciprocates according to where we are. So scripture speaks to us. So we have to read and study scripture, but that's not enough. The Shastras give a 3-step system. The first is Shravanam. Shravanam means to hear, and reading is a subset of hearing. That's the first stage, but there's stage 2 and 3. What is stage 2? Mananam. One has to contemplate what one is hearing. This contemplation is very, very important. After one thing that you should do, if you're reading for an hour, stop after 55 minutes and just try and remember, what have I understood? What have I taken from what I've read? Very, very important. Otherwise, we're just reading and reading, but we have to make things stick. Take some notes, write down what you remember. Mananam, reflect on it. And then the third stage is nididhyasanam. Think, how will I apply this practically in my life? That stage is also very, very important. And as you reflect like this, Shastra reveals itself in deeper and deeper ways in our life. So many devotees write diaries. Diaries also help us to reflect on life, reflect on our experiences, digest those experiences. As we're practicing Krishna consciousness, doing so much service, associating with so many devotees, hearing and chanting, so many things are going on. How much time do we take out just to reflect, to digest? Imagine if you ate, and there's no digestion going on. What happens? You get indigestion, you get a tummy ache, right? So we have to take time to bring things to a certain quality, reflect, and how to apply. And then the best thing is when you share. When you share what you've learned, then it goes deeper. If you keep it, you lose it. Yeah. So share what you have, share what you know. When you come together with friends, what do? In England, the first thing we talk about is the weather because it's so terrible. Here you're lucky, you're lovely weather. Maybe a little too warm sometimes, but you have AC, so I guess that helps. Anyway, but so much, we've discussed so many things, we talk about so many topics. How often, and ask yourself the question, when you come together with your friends, with the other devotees, how many times do you share what you read yesterday? When was the last time you had that conversation? What you read, what you heard, what you realized from your practice of Krishna consciousness. This is what devotees do when they come together. It's good.
Yes.
Anyone else? Yes, Prabhu. Just wait for the mic, Prabhu. It's coming to you.
Yeah, Haribol Prabhu, thanks for the wonderful class. I wanted to know if Srila Prabhupada ever said anything about the quality of the chanting, what to focus on when you're chanting.
Many things, many instructions on chanting that deserves a seminar. A few. Number one, what is a mood of chanting? Prabhupada said that when we're chanting, it's like a baby crying out for its mother. The baby has no other shelter, knows no one else but the mother. She's everything, his or her everything. So it's Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Draupadi, when she's being disrobed, First, she tries to call her husbands. She's got 5 husbands. They're the most powerful, brave, strong warriors on the planet. But they all put their heads down. They can't help. Bhima wants to, but then Yudhishthira stops him. Then she looks to the elders. Bhishma Dev is there. Dronacharya is there. Kripacharya is there. All of the great personalities. The king is there, Dhritarashtra. Are they all going to watch her being disrobed? How can they? She calls out to them. Nothing. They won't do anything. And then she tries to hold on with her own strength. I'll hold on to my sari. I'll protect myself. Nothing. She can't. Dusasan, he's strong. Much stronger than her. So then what does she do? Govinda, Govinda. You're my only shelter. I have no one else. I have nothing else. This is ultimately the mood of chanting. So I have nothing. Queen Kunti says, Janma Aishwarya Shruta Shibir Edamana Madapuman. Naivarhati Abhidhatum Vai Tvam Akinchana Gocharam. She says, if someone has Janma, high birth, Aishwarya, opulence, beauty, Shruta, intelligence, and Shri, wealth, these things can be a disqualification. Why? Because they may inhibit one from really calling out from the heart, from the innermost recesses of one's heart. Krishna, I'm helpless. I have nothing. You're my one and only shelter. That's the mood with which one has to chant. One has to cultivate that mood. So all of our possessions in this world, all of our so-called qualifications, we have to internally put those aside and really call out like a helpless baby crying out for its mother. Prabhupada said it took him 30 years to perfect his chanting. That means don't stop, don't give up, keep trying, never stop practicing Krishna consciousness, never give up, never think, oh, I'm not making much advancement, I don't really think this is working for me. Practice and try and work on developing a deeper, higher quality of practice. Once Srila Prabhupada was walking through St. James's Park in London, and he had a group of disciples. It was a morning walk. And as they were walking, they passed a school of ducks. And Prabhupada turned around to his disciples. He said, does anyone have any bread for the ducks? No one had any bread. No one was thinking at 6 a.m. in the morning, let me take some bread in my pocket. So no one had any bread. The next day, they were walking the same route and they saw the ducks again. So Prabhupada turned around. He said, does anyone have any bread? Everyone looked down. Oh, we forgot. Life was so busy, especially when Prabhupada was around, so much to do. There was one devotee she'd remembered. She had some bread. So very happily, she gave Prabhupada the bread. Prabhupada took the bread and he started to feed the ducks. But the devotees were watching. And Prabhupada was aiming the bread at one particular duck. He was giving this duck all of the bread. And the devotees were watching, saying, why? What's going on here? Why only this duck? How about all of the rest of the ducks? You know, we have these ideas of equality. Everyone should be equal. So then the devotees asked Prabhupada afterwards, Prabhupada, why were you only feeding that one duck? How about the rest of them? Prabhupada said, I was feeding that duck because he was quacking the loudest. This duck was quacking the loudest. Who's the most enthusiastic? That person gets the mercy. In the same way, in our own lives, Krishna's feeding us. He's giving us mercy, but he's looking. Who does he give more mercy to? That devotee who's the most enthusiastic. Utsaha, nischaya, dhairya, tat karma pravartanat. Rupa Goswami says, Utsaha, enthusiasm is an extremely important ingredient in Krishna consciousness. Very, very powerful. So the more enthusiastic we are, the more desirous we are for the mercy, the more we really want to advance and progress in Krishna consciousness, the more we will see in our lives that Krishna's reciprocating, Krishna's giving us the mercy. Krishna gives us a little bit of taste. Krishna gives us help and guidance which we need. So we have to always make sure that we maintain and cultivate a deeper inner enthusiasm in our Krishna consciousness. Cultivate deep enthusiasm and Krishna will reciprocate. It's okay, Prabhu. I could say so much more, but for now, it's 1 o'clock. So I'm bang on time. Usually I overrun, but I'm on time. So I'm proud of myself. I will say just 1 or 2 words. So we're here on tour. I mentioned at the beginning that we've done 11,000 miles almost in just over 11 weeks. We started off in Houston, Texas. It's a road trip. So we hired a car through Turo, and we've been around. I feel like we've been all around the globe, but we've been all around America. Not all around America, east part, Midwest, etc., up into Canada, and we're sharing some beautiful books. These books are by my spiritual master. His name is His Holiness Shivram Swami. Some of you may not have heard of him because he doesn't come to America. He's very focused on certain projects in Hungary. He goes to Mayapur and he's writing. He's writing for the benefit of the Vaishnava society. What is he writing about? He's writing about Krishna. He's writing about Krishna in Vrindavan. And these books are very, very beautiful. There's so many amazing, wonderful, inspiring pastimes of Krishna. They're very good for children and very good for adults. And I have a table out there. We'll bring the table in here afterwards so devotees can see the books. We are at the very end of our tour. So I request devotees to come, take a look at the books, and get a set or two before you leave today. We leave tomorrow morning from Austin. So this is the last chance to get hold of them. Thank you so much. Thank you for being here. Thank you for allowing me to be here. I really thank Satyasara Prabhu for being such a wonderful host. And I really encourage everyone to really get behind this project. So many wonderful devotees, such a wonderful atmosphere here. There's a core team and it really feels like such a wonderful family. So please join that family, contribute to that family, and make this temple and ISKCON Cedar Rock, Cedar Park, Cedar Park, Austin, make it grow and develop. We need a huge, beautiful temple here, which can house so many more people. And you'll see many amazing things happen. At the beginning, there were devotees who stuck to Prabhupada, who followed his guidance, who followed his instructions, and they saw magic happen. If you're sitting on the fences, you don't get too involved, then life's a little boring. It's only when you put yourself on the line, when you really work hard for Krishna, then Krishna reciprocates unlimitedly and you experience so much magic. It's been a tough 11 weeks, but it's been a magical time and I wouldn't have it any other way. Krishna made us work hard, but he also showed us so much wonderful magic along the way, and I'm so grateful. So be part of the magic that is Krishna consciousness. Don't have a boring life. ISKCON is not a Sunday temple. It can be. You can come for any reason, no problem. Akama sarvakama va, no problem. But come, and the more you get involved, the more you'll have an experience. It's a deep, nourishing, spiritual experience, which is undeniable, which is amazing, which is wonderful, and you have to experience it in your life. Don't miss out. Thank you so much. Granth Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Shri Radha Shyam Sundar ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, Nitai Gaur Premanandi.
His Grace Ananda Chaitanya Prabhu ki.
Gaura Bhakta Vrind ki jai.
Thank you, Prabhu. That's a wonderful, enlightening talk, and would like to hear from you again and again. Please visit us again and again. Thank you, Prabhu, for giving and sharing that wonderful books. Devotees, please kindly go through the books. If anyone likes, you can take. So we are moving on to the next part of our program. Now we are going to have Aarti. Kimberly going to sing today's Aarti Kirtan. Sarveshri Mataji doing the Pujari service.
At the end? Yeah, sure. Sure. Just call me when I'll be there. We'll call you. Yeah.
Hare Krishna. Bhagavan. Hare Krishna. You can go that side. Prashant. Yeah. I'll yeah. Yes, Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Bro, you're becoming lean. Huh? You're becoming lean. Yeah. Then move forward. Hare Krishna.
Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pranini Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Pasyatadesha Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pasyatadesha Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shiva Sari Gora Bhakta Vrinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shiva Sadi Gaura Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shiva Sari Gora Bhakta Vrinda He was singing. So give it. Sorry, you should never take something, right? Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. Nitai Gora Haribo, 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 Nitai Gora Haribo, 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 Nitai Gora Haribo, 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 Nitai Gora Haribo, 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 Nitai Gaur Haribo. Jaya Gaura Nitai, Gaura Nitai, Jaya 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 Gaura Nitai. Jaya Sita Ram, Jaya Lakshman Hanuman, Jaya Sita Ram, Jaya Lakshman Hanuman. Jaya Sitaram, Jaya Sitaram, Jaya Sitaram. Jaya Radha Krishna, Jaya Radha Krishna, Jaya Shri Radhe. Jaya Radha Krishna, Jaya Radha Krishna, Jaya Shri Radhe. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Gurudev 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev Jaya Jaya Gurudev 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare Nitai Gora Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitai Gora Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitai Gora Hari Bol Jai Nitai Gopamanande
Everybody please bow down to the deities. जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राज का आचार्य अष्टोत्तर श्रीमद ऐसी भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी महाराज प्रभुपाद की जय। जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राज का आचार्य अष्टोत्तर श्री श्रीमद भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती गोस्वामी महाराज प्रभुपाद की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। नामाचार्य श्रील हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। इस्कॉन फाउंडर आचार्य श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्री वासादि गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरि गोवर्धन की जय। श्री वृंदावन धाम की जय। श्री मायापुरी धाम की जय। श्री जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की जय। गंगा मई यमुना मई की जय। भक्ति देवी तुलसी देवी की जय। श्री हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जय। मृद मृदंगा की जय। All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada की जय।
Oh yeah. Namaste Narasimhaya. Dalad Daine. Hiranshi Purvaksha. Shila Thankana Kalaye. Idona Simha Paradona Simha. Yato Yato Yamita Dona Simha. Madhirna Simha Edahirna Simha. Narasimham Vadim Sharanam Prapade. Tavakara Kamala Bahiri Naka Habuta Shinga Dalita Hiranyakashipu Tanubinga Keshavadrita Narahari Rupa Jai Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare. Jai Shavadrita Harirupa Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare. Jaya Nashinga Dev Jaya Nashinga Dev Jaya Nashima Dev Jaya Nashinga Dev. Jaya Prahlad Maharaj Jaya Prahlad Maharaj Prahlad Maharaj Jaya Prahlad Maharaj. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Jai Nishing Bhagavan Ki Jai Prahlad Maharaj Ki Jai Srila Prabhupada Ki